Sci-Fi Radio.
This station is now the ultimate power in the universe.
We would be honored if you would join us.
Alrighty, it's another Thursday night. We have been off the air for a couple of weeks because Colleen and I have been traveling.
Traveling.
But we are back for another Docking Bay 94. I'm Sean Obi-Shawn Crosby.
I'm calling Kaylee Crosby.
And we're Jeffless as yet, just because he said he was going to be late. So we'll see. We'll figure it out. But you could be watching us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, listening to us over on sci-fi.radio, I think. I'm going to go check and see if that's really the case. Because sometimes the radio hasn't been working well for us lately. Weird stuff. But, yeah, gosh, it's
we're kind of matchy with our black shirts.
Good to be back. Are we?
Yeah.
Nice. We're all working. Kind of similar.
Yeah.
All right. There's a story over here on sci-fi.radio about Lower Decks getting a season 5 trailer. I noticed on the way back on the plane from New York you were watching Lower Decks.
I was.
Did you like it?
I enjoyed it.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it was good. I liked the characters. The animation was, I don't know, similar to Bob's Burgers, I guess?
Yeah, Bob's Burgers. It's what they call the CalArts style now, which is basically like Family Guy and Bob's Burgers. It's like a simple character design with big round eyes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it was. But I liked the stories. It was nice to have, like, young people, kind of.
Right.
Because that's what it's focusing on, is the people who are just starting out in Starfleet and work in the lower decks.
Right. Yeah, it's good. I remember watching the first season of it, and I haven't seen anything really since then. And but it was funny to look over and see you watching it.
Oh.
And as you know, I mean, Star Trek's just okay with you. You're not like
right.
a rabid Star Trek fan.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Kelly says howdy.
Howdy.
And Talon Thorne says howdy. Today is a howdy night.
Howdy. Nice.
Howdy, all.
It's yeah, kind of a relaxed night. I bet if I go and look and see who is tuned in, it's pretty lightweight over here tonight.
Well, I just told you who was commenting.
Right. Yeah, we have 23 people listening over on sci-fi.radio, which is good because it's working.
Yeah.
And that makes me happy.
Sweet. So, how much do you guys want to hear about our trip? Because we seem to always go on and on.
We do.
Yeah. Alan says welcome back. Because we've been gone for 2 weeks.
Yes. I mean, first things first, it was fun. We had a really good time.
Yeah.
Which was great. And I think that we had prepared ourselves for a tough trip, and things went smoother than we thought they might.
Yes. We only had one day where I felt like it was really tough, and it wasn't even the whole day. It was just like an afternoon. Saturday, there was a lot of rain,
Yeah.
and because the UN General Assembly was in town, they had blocked off basically all of Central Park into one-way paths that you had to walk like a mile north or south to get to the path. Like you had to walk a mile north to get to the path to walk south, and then another mile north to get across the park.
The biggest
crazy.
The biggest complication with this was that they did not warn you. So you got into the park, and then they're like, "Oh, you can't go this way. You have to walk all the way this way to go this way."
By the way.
Which is a real bummer.
So we've got Hugh, who we got to see
last week.
When we
was
were in New
amazing.
York.
We got to go to dinner with Hugh and his wife. That was terrific.
Yeah. Hi to Derek and Sam. Yeah, we got to see a lot of people. The first person that first of all, we got to see my mom. We don't get to see her a lot.
Right. And the whole trip was her trip.
Yeah.
She wanted to go see some key spots in New York City, and then she wanted to go back to the small town that she grew up in.
She was born in the Bronx, and then when she was 6, they moved to a place that's like 2 hours north of New York City, and it is a hamlet. It is such a small area that it is not even a town, it's a hamlet. And
It's
it has,
pretty small.
like 5 buildings that are public or...
Right. And they've doubled up on
restaurant-type
some of them,
things.
which were really funny. So like the old one-room schoolhouse is now the post office.
Yeah. And then we got to see John and Joey, who were just coincidentally in New York at the same time we were. They're local to us here.
Right.
And we did a Ghostbusters day with them.
Yeah, we decided that we wanted to take some kind of costume with us, and because of the proximity of Ghostbusters locations in New York, we thought the jumpsuits would be the easiest thing to do.
And that was the number one item on Sean's list of things to do in New York was the Ghostbusters locations.
Right. And so Colleen had never been to New York, and I haven't been there in any appreciable capacity for 40 years. So, it was really interesting. 1984 was when Ghostbusters came out. I remember making a trip to go see the firehouse and some of the other locations there during the summer of 1984. And here we are, like, exactly 40 years later, doing the same thing. It was kind of neat. I wish I had pictures from 40 years ago.
So the locations that we went to were the Firehouse 8, which is the firehouse station that they were in the first Ghostbusters and in the most recent Ghostbusters.
Yeah, we went to Hook and Ladder 8 is what they call it.
And it is still a working fire station. It just has one truck, but it is still a working fire station.
And hang on a second. I have pictures. There we go. So it's, and they have fully embraced their position
Ghostbusters.
in the Ghostbusters community, which is great. And honestly, they are so close to the World Trade Center and all of that kind of thing.
Hi to Lori.
That it's really nice to have a thing that is just, fun and frivolous as a countermeasure to that. Because it's everything in New York City is still all about 9/11, as you would imagine. It was this catastrophic tragedy. I can't talk tonight. But yeah, it was kind of crazy, and I think that there you go. There's Colleen in front of the firehouse, which is pretty cool. And we took all sorts of pictures, like way too many. But the city has let them hang the Ghostbusters shingle. They sell T-shirts and stuff out there, and hats and pins.
I have one photo. I took one photo there.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I think a lot of that kind of stuff, you just trusted that I was going to get it.
Oh, yeah.
And
well, and also anytime that there is an opportunity for a selfie, Sean always hands me his camera because he has a better camera.
It's a better camera.
So, whenever I want to take a picture, if he's involved, we use his phone.
Yeah. But the building itself was actually, pretty neat to see, and weirdly small in person. And one of the things that's really funny, if you look on the top of the building...
It was exactly the size that I thought it would be. It
Yeah.
didn't feel weirdly small to
Well,
me.
it's a 3-story building, but with the scale of the buildings around New York, it just feels really tiny to me.
Right.
So there's a flag on top of the station, of course, and one of the things that became a thing during the entire trip were water towers. We sort of noticed them on the ride in. We started talking about them, and then everywhere we went, we had to note the
So
water
my mom
tower.
read a bunch of books about New York before we went, and one of them was a book that she was really excited about, so she told me, check out this book, and I went to the library and got it, and it's called 101 Items in New York City, I think.
I think it's 100 items in New York City.
I thought it was 101. At any rate, a bunch of things in New York City. And it kind of tells you the history of New York through these items. And one of them is these wooden water towers. So that's why we were interested in seeing them.
Which are still in use.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is really cool. Everybody who visits the Hook and Ladder 8 fire station drops off their Ghostbusters unit patch. The Orange County Ghostbusters, if you're looking at this picture with us here, are right above my head. Here, now they're really above my head. In the collection of patches, which is really cool. And it's a small station. They have like 5 guys on a shift, and it's like really, really kind of mellow. And, obviously they don't take themselves very seriously, but they were nice enough to invite us in, let us take a few pictures, talk to the guys a little bit.
They sold T-shirts and pins and things out the side door.
Yeah, and that was really great. And I wish I had realized they sold more than just the T-shirts, because I'd have bought some of the other stuff.
Because I bought a T-shirt, and I don't like men's T-shirts, so the chances of me wearing that very frequently are really small.
And they didn't really have my size, which was a bummer.
Yeah.
They were out of my size, so... but you want to get something while you're there.
Yes,
and that was it. And so this is their official patch, which is cool. That's what's on their T-shirt.
So then we went over to the New York Public Library that has Patience and Fortitude, the 2 lion statues out front, and we took some pictures outside, which we hadn't been able to do the day before because they were having a protest there because the General Assembly was in town.
Yes.
And then we went inside the library because that was one of my bucket list items, was to go inside the New York Public Library.
Gee, Colleen wanted to go to the place with all the books. What a surprise.
They had upstairs, they have something called the Rose Reading Room, which you're only allowed to go into the Rose Reading Room if you're actually a scholar and you're studying on site. And so they have, I don't know if it's just once a day, but they give out free tickets where you can go on a tour that'll take you into the room. And it's just a 15-minute tour, and it takes you into the Rose Reading Room, and you were very quietly able to observe what it is. And
one of the things, just to interrupt you for a second while I've got some of these pictures up, one of the things that I found really interesting, later on in the trip we went to the Metropolitan Museum of Art. And can I tell you how much more beautiful this library was than the Met was?
It really was. This library is gorgeous. But the library was built by an individual.
Yeah.
So I think that might be the difference. And also the library is older.
It is an absolute shrine to knowledge, and it's really cool. They had all of these murals in the waiting room outside of the reading rooms that it basically told the story of the written word. This was like Prometheus stealing fire, which is what brought knowledge to man. They had a little sort of modern day thing where a mom was teaching a son how to read, and then they had the son later on in life reading on his own and still enjoying books as an older man. And
I didn't realize those were the same person.
Yeah, it's really, really kind of interesting. And this is the lobby. This is like the waiting room to get into the
upstairs
reading
lobby.
rooms. Yeah, it's like the third floor. And just absolutely amazing stuff with these giant murals. You can see John and Joey and Colleen there.
And underneath a man with no pants.
Yes, who is being shown the Gutenberg Bible and going, look what we can do. We can print now, which was really funny.
And he's like, I feel a draft.
But yeah, lots of artistic stuff all over the place. There was this exhibit about printing and textiles, which was really interesting. So this dress is all printed with various things on it, and they had printed textiles down the whole hallway here off to the side. Beautiful reading rooms with archaic things like card catalogs in the background there, and they had an entire room that was dedicated to Shelley and his circle of people, which was nuts. Just this, really huge, gorgeous, you have to have a real reason to be in this room. There's it's like you can't just walk in and check it out. But it was amazing. And then so they had Moses with the tablets.
Is there a man in there or a person in
Yeah,
there?
there is. He's sitting at the window at the desk doing something. Who knows, right?
Right.
But it could be anything. So Moses with the tablets was one mural. Monks who were illuminating manuscripts and copying manuscripts by hand were on the opposite wall. And then we had the Gutenberg Bible with the man with no pants. Thank goodness he's got that folio in front there. That could be an awkward picture.
Right.
And then we had movable type for newspapers, which was considered a landmark in printing. And it's really.
And then we went downstairs after we did the tour. We went downstairs, and they have an exhibit that's like the treasures of the New York Public Library or something. And it had a Gutenberg Bible. And Sean's showing pictures of the Rose Reading Room right now.
I am, and the little train that brings you books that you request from the reference department. They put them in this little train, and they come up and they pick them up and give them to you. It's really cool.
And
but you remember this from Ghostbusters. This is where they came in and sort of tortured Egon, who was listening to the table with a stethoscope. They interviewed one of the librarians who saw a ghost in the reading room, which was super cool.
The in addition to the Gutenberg Bible in the exhibit downstairs, they had all of the Winnie the Pooh stuffed animals.
Yeah, so this was
original
the
ones.
treasures room, of which we only did a really brief, cursory walkthrough. Colleen, I think, got more pictures than I did because she saw some costume designs and some other stuff I didn't even get to.
They had costume design from the play Chicago.
Chicago, yeah. So here's
yeah.
their Gutenberg Bible, which is really cool. Something. I think something popped up and locked me up. Hate when that happens. Here, let me get back down to. Here's Winnie the Pooh, and these are the real Winnie the Pooh stuffed animals from Christopher Robin that inspired all of the tales that he used to carry around. They have all of them except Roo, who went missing in an apple orchard during an adventure. So he's off somewhere.
You must have read the. See, you stopped to read the thing. I was taking pictures because we needed to go.
Right.
And so I was trying to hurry and get lots of pictures.
Eeyore and Kanga and Piglet, tiny little Piglet, and Tigger, and the whole gang all together. And it was a really neat experience. Yeah. And then we were asked for a picture by this guy who's a New York City police
Very
officer. Very
excited police officer.
Yeah, he was, and his friends are like, "Man, he's such a geek. You got to get a picture with him." And then this other guy stepped in, and then the whole gang stepped in. Super cool. I love that they weren't too cool to do this. We had a great time.
Yeah, and then the next Ghostbusters site we went to was Spook Central, 55 Central Park West, which was Dana Barrett's building. And what's his name?
Why are all these open?
What's the name of the
Ivo Shandor?
The keymaster.
Oh, Louis Tully.
Louis Tully. It was their building in Ghostbusters. So we went there and we saw the church, which was right next door, which was the Nobody Steps on a Church in My Town church.
Something broke over here with Facebook.
Too bad.
I hate when that happens.
Yeah. You could close it and reopen it.
I'm trying. Trying to do it.
And then
Not
after we
cooperating.
went to those two buildings, and I'm sure Sean will show them to you shortly, we were on our way back to Times Square and just happened to stumble across Lincoln Center. And so Sean managed to get images of the whole walking around Lincoln Center that one of the characters did in the original movie.
Yeah. Here was Spook Central. We happen to have seen the headquarters of Ghost Corps at what do you call it?
Sony Studios.
Sony Studios, and so they had this cool Shandor architecture poster up on the wall, which kind of gave you a good overview of what the apartments were. The apartments really stop at the top of the roof, like 3 floors up, and it's so they had to add some special effects stuff. But yeah, here was the church, which was really pretty beautiful church and very, very like welcoming. They had a little sign out front that says, "Hey, we take everybody. No judgment here. Just come on in, whatever your lifestyle is," which was cool. And neat. So much old, cool architecture. And then this building here also, this was also used as the building in Elf, where Elf's dad, Walter Hobbs, lived. And we did not see any elves either. But the building itself is just, this is considered a second-tier apartment building in here, even though they had some really famous people living in it, like I think Sid Charisse lived in here, and people like that, and Jerry Herman, who was a composer. And so you can see the top of the building, and they had to add a whole bunch of extra cool, spooky ghost stuff up here with that. But yeah, it was neat to see.
Wait, that's actual photos, though, right?
These are actual
Okay.
photos. Yeah.
It seemed for a minute that you were showing something from the movie.
No. These are only the photos that we took.
Okay, except that one drawing.
Except the drawing. Yeah. And we didn't want to, really bug anybody, and so we didn't go into the building. A lot of the buildings we just kind of like did a walk by, and didn't want to do anything weird. So.
Yeah, and then the next day was Saturday, and my brother and his wife had flown in. Oh no, wait, Friday. We saw Takako that night.
We did.
We have a friend that works at the UN, and I remembered that she lived in New York while we were already there on Friday morning. So I texted her, and she said, "Oh my gosh, let's get together for coffee." So we saw her. We went and got tea, and
the UN was very impacted because they were in session while we were there.
well, it was the General Assembly meeting.
But yeah, this is our friend Takako, who came and met us. So it was still Ghostbusters Day for us.
Yeah.
And she was a good sport about dragging us to coffee in the Ghostbusters stuff.
Right.
But we went all over the place. This was where we largely ate breakfast every day. We were in Hell's Kitchen. So we went to Hell's Kitchen Deli.
Which was really good.
Yeah, they actually had really good breakfast stuff. And we thought the New Yorkers were going to freak out and be annoyed with us for being Ghostbusters. Actually, everybody really loved it.
There were a lot of yelling across the street or something. Who you going to call?
Yeah. There's John. We spent most of our day with. Did a lot of subway travel, which was pretty cool, especially because John and Joey showed us we could just use our phones to get in and out.
And so grateful for Joey for just being in charge of getting us where we were going.
Yeah,
it made it so much
he
easier,
really
less
took
stressful
charge of
on
it
us.
and ran, which was really great.
Yeah,
So-
and showed us how to use our phones.
Yeah.
To get in.
And one of the things that we did, this is called the Oculus, which is a shopping arcade down by World Trade Center, and we wanted to see the new World Trade Center. So this is World Trade Center 1, and this is the replacement building for the Twin Towers. But we wanted to see the memorial, and it was a little awkward to go down in Ghostbusters gear because we didn't want to be a distraction, and we didn't want to be, we certainly weren't there for attention. So we didn't take pictures with anybody. We didn't take any selfies of ourselves. It was just for memorial stuff. And it's a big fountain. You can kind of hear the water going on. Just a big fountain, on one for each area where the World Trade Towers stood, and they're each marked with all the names of all the people who sadly perished in the disaster. So it was. We didn't go into the museum. It was a pretty moving thing, and the way they've reestablished the World Trade Center with different buildings and the memorial and all that. And I'm really excited and pleased and happy and proud that they didn't go with a, F yeah, America kind of memorial. This is super classy. It's very poignant. It's exactly what you want this kind of thing to be. And I'm really glad that, it wasn't a jerky kind of memorial. It's really pretty great. So yeah, so we had a pretty great time. Just we went all over the city, and so many different pictures. Colleen was talking about the videos. Lincoln Center. We got really dorky, and but
we.
Yeah, well hey, you spun too. But I loved, this is the Ed Sullivan Theater, just the architecture and the craftsmanship and all the kind of stuff we don't do to buildings anymore was really neat to see. I just absolutely loved all of this kind of stuff. And I took way too many pictures of all of it. And I only put a handful up online. But there was so much of the city. It was just amazing to see. So I'm really glad that we went. We had a pretty amazing time. And saw a lot of stuff like on the fly. We took a bus tour and got the layout of the city the very first day, and then the rest of it was spent as pickups going to various locations we wanted to go. So it was cool.
Saturday we went to the High Line, which is it used to be train tracks and the raised trains that they had in New York City. And when the train was decommissioned, rather than pulling down the train tracks, they made them into a park. So there's this 2-mile long park that's all old train track area, safe to walk on. They have the train tracks kind of off to the side so that you can not trip over anything. But it was really neat.
Pretty amazing.
Yeah.
I gotta say.
The downside of that, though, was that I got distracted and forgot that I wanted to go to Chelsea Market, which was along the High Line. It was halfway through. And I forgot, so we didn't get to go. Boo. And then that was the afternoon that was kind of a bust because it was raining really hard and Central Park was blocked off. It was just slightly miserable. So we went to go back to our hotels to rest before the play that night, and then Sean and I stopped really quickly on the way back to our hotel at Hershey's World and M&M's World, which I thought were super touristy and only good for children or people who are really huge fans of those products.
They were largely stores, which is to be expected there. But I expected maybe like we did the Coca-Cola thing and they had the
Coca-Cola
Florida,
tasting,
and there was a tasting and a flight and a little more history of the company and things like that. These were largely just elaborate stores. Yeah, they did
have the M&M store had a thing where you could make M&Ms that had your picture on it, or had you could write whatever you wanted. You could do 4 different designs and have it mixed.
Yes,
and it was so expensive, and the line was so long that it wasn't worth it. And then, so we played with setting them up, and then we went, no, we don't want it, and walked out. And the Hershey's World had you could make your own giant Reese's cup. So it was this big, and you filled it with all sorts of fillings.
It was weird.
But it looked weird, and I don't want a bunch of other stuff in my Reese's. I just want it to be Reese's.
Do me a favor, Colleen,
Yeah.
and start the Zoom meeting again for me, just in case Jeff makes it in.
Okay.
It timed out after 40 minutes,
Oops.
and it booted us.
Rude.
So I'd like to make sure that Jeff gets in if he wants to do it.
Yes.
And I got my chat restarted here too because it my chat
Great.
melted down.
You're all set.
Thank you.
And then we went and saw the play Our Town. And my mom is the one who chose the play. And hang on just a second. Sorry. When I get into Zoom, all I can hear is an echo. So, Our Town. It had who was the guy who starred in it?
Jim Parsons from The Big Bang Theory was in it.
And my mom loves The Big Bang Theory because it. My brother and I grew up near Pasadena, and the show takes place in Pasadena, so it reminds my mom of her kids and the time when we were young because we were growing up there. And then I was excited because apparently Jeff is not going to join us today. He's not feeling well.
Oh, he's not. Oh, that's too
Yeah.
bad. Okay.
So,
Well, I'll quit Zoom over here then.
okay.
Boo.
Yeah. Anyway, so she chose to go to Our Town, and it turned out to be very foreshadowing of our trip to northern New York. Or central New York?
Yeah,
I don't
we
know.
could see why Colleen's mom really wanted to see this play. And I'll tell you right off the bat, it is not one of my favorite plays. And I wasn't very excited to go see it. It's got minimal staging. There's a lot of pantomime in it. They don't have like proper props.
The pantomime was weird.
There's a bunch of things about it that just make it a really weird experience for me, despite the fact this is considered like one of the great pieces of American playwriting. And it's not that it's a bad play. I've seen it too many times. I was kind of done with it. I gotta say, I think this was maybe the best performance of it I've ever seen. It was engaging. It was pretty cool. It was nice to see people in it that I know. So Colleen didn't mention her big actor who was in it.
Because I was excited.
Yeah.
Richard Thomas was in it. He played John Boy Walton. And so when I found out he was in it, I was all in.
Colleen was on board. Katie Holmes was in it. I think that was the other named actor.
Yeah.
There was a guy in it who was previously in Hamilton, but I don't remember what his name was. The performances were great, but what we didn't realize, and it explains so much after the fact, was that the play itself opens tonight, I think, officially. We were seeing previews. So they were still working out the kinks of the show when we went. And so the lead actor, Jim Parsons, who was playing the stage manager, who's kind of the narrator of the whole show, was not so much of a character and more just kind of him. And it felt like he was trying some stuff out a little bit here and there. So that was kind of interesting. I did notice it while we were there, but then I went back and read that they were in previews for the show and hadn't officially had their opening night yet. And you're allowed to kind of fudge stuff during the previews and stuff. It's an experimental time for everybody.
I very much enjoyed it, and so I didn't feel like I lost out on the experience of going to a play in New York City. I would have loved to have seen more plays, but it just wasn't. There wasn't enough time.
If this had been a trip for Colleen and I, we would have seen a lot more.
Probably would have done one every
plays.
night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the whole trip really was about Colleen's mom. We really did want to make sure that she got the exact experience she wanted to get, and so she would determine our destination and how long we stayed in a place and what she really wanted to see. And sometimes it was really funny because she would she's like, I really have to go see the Brooklyn Bridge. And it's like, okay. So we jump in a lift and we go to like the spot to go look at the bridges. And she's like, okay, I saw them. I'm done.
Well, but I mean, that's how I felt in Paris.
Yeah.
I saw the Eiffel Tower and I was like, okay, now what?
I can go home. Uh-oh.
I'm done.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it was really funny. But yeah, we came really close to seeing Back to the Future. But in reality, we have tickets to see the touring version here in Los Angeles, so we didn't fight too hard. They had $40 tickets for rush tickets, but they were way off on the side. And it's like, yeah, it's kind of not how I want to see that.
Yeah, we've had some bad experiences with theater in LA recently at
Yeah,
Robinson, so
we have. So
we didn't want a repeat of that, where you just come out of the theater and you're kind of pissy because
the sound was
the
bad,
sound
or
is
your
bad.
seat was bad, or
Yeah.
whatever. So, but yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff that would have been really terrific to have gone to see, but we'll have to save it for another trip,
Right.
and do that, because really, getting Colleen's mom wherever she wanted to be, and we managed to do this. We were like a block off of Times Square, and getting her through Times Square in a wheelchair was quite a challenge.
She's not used to being in a wheelchair, first of all.
Right.
And we're not used to pushing wheelchairs, so it was a new experience for all of us. But had she been on her walker, which was the original intention, I feel like it would have been a much harder trip, particularly when we went to go see the Brooklyn Bridge.
Yeah.
We took a lift to the iconic spot where you see the Manhattan Bridge from Dumbo, which is the name of the area down under Manhattan Bridge. And then we were just ferries and wheelchair powered until we were done with all of our touring for the day. So
Right.
we looked at the bridges. We went to a fabulous little bookstore. We went to a little waterside parks, and there was an arch of the Manhattan Bridge that had a flea market underneath it, which was really cool.
That
And
was pretty cool.
Felt very local.
Well, and one of the things that sort of was very cool but also impeded our progress is you'd be going down like this sort of touristy bike pathy area that was nice and paved and asphalt and whatever, and then you'd get on the sidewalk and you'd get off the sidewalk and you would be into like
Cobblestones.
a couple of generations of cobblestones. It's like, here are the modern ones, here are the really old ones. It was really kind of nuts. And dragging a wheelchair over that without dumping Colleen's mom onto the cement was really hard.
I thought I had originally planned for Dumbo to be on a separate day than the Brooklyn Bridge, or not Brooklyn Bridge, than going to see the Statue of Liberty. But I realized while we were there how close they were, and my mom had enough energy where she was able to keep going.
Yeah.
And so we walked to a ferry, took the ferry across to Manhattan, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're able to walk from that ferry to the Staten Island ferry, which is free. And you ride over to Staten Island and the Statue of Liberty is right there.
Yeah,
You go right by it.
You go right past
and
it.
then you get off the boat and you get back on the next boat and come back and you see it again. And you've had the experience. So
Yeah, and that was exactly the experience she wanted. It was perfectly fine. I got some amazing pictures I haven't posted yet. It was a blast. It was really
Jeff,
cool.
no one did try to sell us the Brooklyn Bridge.
I like to think that we're smarter than that.
I'm going to say a belated hello to Eric, Budala, Jeff, of course, who's not feeling well. Sorry, Jeff.
Sorry, Jeff.
Talonthorn, Boba-Kit. I think that's it. Oh, and Laura.
Laura's
and
here.
Chris.
Yeah.
So then Monday, we went to Central Park.
Mm-hmm.
And
Got rained on a lot?
no, that was Saturday. We tried to go to Central Park.
Oh. The
And
second Central Park.
Sunday we got rained on a ton, but we were down by the water and it didn't seem as bad. Like it wasn't as cold.
It was okay. We were wet, but it wasn't a big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then so Monday it cleared up and we went to Central Park and we got pictures at all of the fun locations, the Bow Bridge, the Bethesda Fountain.
Yeah, basically, we did the Enchanted tour because basically everything we saw was like in the Enchanted movie.
We saw the area where the old men sit with their chessboards.
Yeah,
there weren't any old men.
And we
sitting there,
didn't. There were a lot of places because Central Park's really big, so there were a bunch of places that we didn't go. Like we didn't go to Strawberry Fields and see.
We could have. I saw the sign, but
yeah, everything was like within walking distance, but it was just a case of like, can you really see everything? And there was stuff that we would forget about. Like we went to the Met, and behind the Met is the obelisk that's there. It's like kind of a big deal, and we completely forgot to walk around the building and go see that.
And then Sean mentioned the Met. Then we went to the Met, which when I first started planning the trip, that was my number one place I wanted to go. I wanted to go to the Met Costume Institute, but it was closed because currently the Met Costume Institute does like one exhibit a year, and that is they open it with the Met Gala. And then they close it in September, and we missed it by like a week, maybe 2. So I decided that there were some paintings inside that I would like to see. And I said to Sean, I would like to go in and see the John Singer Sargent paintings, fashion paintings, that they have there. And I know that $30 is a lot to just go see like this one painter, but that's what I'd like to do. So we did. And I went and saw them, got some pictures with them, was happy about it. And we went, it was in the American wing, and we had to walk through the European wing to get to the American wing. And we saw a lot of other cool paintings on the way there. And then I was done. I'm like, okay, I saw what I came to see. And so Sean had the idea of looking up online what can you do if you only have an hour at the Met Museum?
Like what are the must-see things?
Top 10
at the
things to
Met.
see. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we looked at it, decided which ones we did want to see, and we spent, I don't know, maybe 3 hours at the Met,
Yeah.
and I am perfectly happy
That's
with what we
long
did
for
see.
you for a museum.
3 hours is about my max at a
Yeah.
museum.
So-
And we also got to see in the gift shop upstairs in an area that they don't let people just wander on their own. Mela had a hat on display, and we asked one of the employees in the gift shop where we could see the hats that were on display, and they took us behind the velvet rope, and we got to see all the hats and take pictures of them.
Yeah, it was
so that was
actually-
really cool.
That was really nice. And yeah, the Kit asked how big Central Park is. It's the 6th largest park in the city. It's not even the biggest park in New York City.
It is the 6th
Yeah,
largest?
can you believe that?
Wow.
But they're also counting things like Flushing Meadows and things
Oh.
like that. So it's 843 acres. It's monstrously huge.
If it helps more, it is 2.5 miles long and half a mile wide.
Right.
So it's not, I mean, when you compare it to Griffith Park, it is way smaller than that. You can walk to all the places. It's just that it is really big when you're walking.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of nuts.
And it feels like it's big too because there's a lot of little hills and things, and there's a lot of trees, and you'll be walking, and then all of a sudden you'll be beside a lake, and the trees kind of open up, and there's this beautiful vista in front of you. So it's really great.
Yeah, New York has really figured out the whole park thing. There are so many parks in New York.
Lots of parks.
That are just, I mean, there are hundreds of them. Hundreds and hundreds of them.
And then that was Monday, and that was when we made it just under the wire, slid back to our hotel just in time to visit with Hugh and Susan. And that was so great. Haven't gotten to see Hugh in years and years.
Yeah, it's been way too long.
We all became friends like at the same time, kind of, roughly the same time. I think I met Hugh in 1987. And then I met Sean in 1988 at the same time that I met John and Kelly and Sam and Debbie. So our like core friend groups from back then, it's fun to have all that. And we went to a fun diner that had amazing, not pot roast, short ribs. And they had it on everything. They had it on mac and cheese. They had it on a plate. They had it on a salad. It was really good.
It was called Mom's Kitchen and Diner.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a 90s restaurant. It's like not quite 80s. It's a little bit later than that. And their music choice was later than that. And, you know, they've got some pretty decent food. And then they've got stuff like Jell-O shots. You want Jell-O shots.
And then my top food experiences, the very best things that I would definitely make sure to go back and do again there's a place called Amy's Bakery that had a fennel raisin loaf that I have ordered the cookbook because I must have that loaf of bread again. And they had a almond, well, I can't remember what, almond something toast.
Here,
that was really good.
I went to their website. Here's...
And the other place that I went that I was really excited about food-wise was, my brain is not functioning.
No, they just got rid of their food. There we go.
What do you mean they got rid of their food?
I had pictures up and it went away.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's the bread. Zabar's, which is a famous deli, and I got just a couple of rugula. And rugula are little pastry cookies with either raspberry or chocolate or sometimes both in them. Sometimes there's cinnamon. They are probably my favorite cookie. And they're a challenge to make. It takes a lot of steps to make them. And I picked one up when we went to a bagel shop, and it was horrible.
Yeah.
It was really bad. And the ones at Zabar's were really good.
And if you're a fan of Only Murders in the Building, we watched an episode last week that actually mentioned Zabar's, talked about going to Zabar's, which is pretty funny. This is it here. It's big. It's like supermarket big, but it's a deli and it's jammed full of stuff, and it's not as organized the way a supermarket would be. It's just this mishmash of stuff.
My original intention was to buy a picnic from there and picnic in Central Park, but that didn't work out. So I went in thinking I want to get a souvenir to bring home, but I get overwhelmed easily by shopping, and this was one of those occasions where there's so much stuff that it's very overwhelming. And so I didn't end up buying anything. And then I noticed that they had like those not a canvas bag, but a plasticky bag.
It's like a poly fiber bag. Yeah.
That said Zabar's on it. And I said, I'm going to buy one of those. And so I got one for $1. And I was kind of sad that I didn't get any food things. And when I walked out of the store, I realized that the exterior where it said Zabar's was bigger than the interior. And so I said, hang on, Sean, I'm going to walk down to the end of the block. Walked down to the end of the block, and they had a little cafe there. Nobody was in it. I was able to walk in, pick out rugula, being my favorite thing, and not have to wait in a line, and got my delightful cookies, and it was all good.
It was good.
Yeah.
And this was what was right down the street from the building that they use in Only Murders in the Building. And so we did walk by the what do they call it? I can't think of the name of the building now.
Not the Arconia, but
It
the
is
Belle Nord.
right. The Belle Nord is the real name of it, and the Arconia is what it's called in the thing. And that was really interesting to see exactly how large that building was, because you're like,
big.
how many people can they kill in that building? Well, apparently hundreds.
Yeah.
Because there's
And there's
monstrously
in
huge.
that building there is a CVS on the bottom floor and a Starbucks and like a copy shop and a bunch of buildings that are storefronts that are for lease. So it's a big place.
Yeah, it's
Hey to Mario.
it's absolutely monstrous, and it gave me a picture that I can't show you because it's a New York Times article.
Ah.
Rude.
At any rate, we had a really great time. So Tuesday, we got up, packed all our luggage, got Mom all packed up. We got into another lift. We went like, I don't know, a mile and a half.
Yep.
And we went to Grand Central Terminal, which was on my mom's list of must-sees. Her list was a play, the Brooklyn Bridge, the Staten Island Ferry, and the Grand Central Station.
Right.
So we hit all of her major items. And Sean and I wanted to take a tour. There's an hour to an hour and a half long tour. And so we were going to have, Mom was going to wait in a coffee shop and we were going to go on the tour. But because I had to leave everything very loose in case things changed, all the tickets were sold out.
Yeah,
so
we didn't make it on the tour.
Had to do a little self-tour. But it ended up that we were able to leave an hour early for Poughkeepsie, which was our next stop on our trip. And it was just delightful taking a train. I will always take a train. And so I was delighted that we got to take a ferry, we got to take a train. We didn't get to do that Skyway thingy that we saw later. I don't know, gondolas that are somewhere in the city that we just saw out of the corner of our eye and went, oh, we didn't do that. But yeah, we took the train to Poughkeepsie, and then in Poughkeepsie we rented a car and drove about a half an hour into Clinton Corners, which is a tiny hamlet that has a wine store, a cafe, a post office, and
A fire department.
and a
city hall.
Grange Hall. And then a couple of
A
churches.
Grange Hall?
Yeah, the Friends building that was the historical building where the cemetery was,
Yeah.
that was the Grange Hall.
Oh, I don't know what a Grange Hall is.
It's like a meeting place for a small town or village.
There are just under 3,000 people who live in this town.
That's
But-
a lot. That's more than I thought.
Right. But you would not know it because everything is so stretched out, and the main downtown drag is really spread apart.
A Grange Hall is a meeting place for the National Grange of the Order of the Patrons of Husbandry, a fraternal organization in the United States. Grange Halls are used for a variety of community events, including markets, meals, classes, clinics, voting, community forums, dances, concerts, and memorials. It was super fun to go into some of the locations that where my mom grew up, like the post office that was, when my mom went there, it was the one-room schoolhouse that she went to. And it was funny because there was an article on the wall about a postmistress from the 1960s. And when we were talking to the woman who was working in the post office, she said, oh, there's an article there on the wall about the first female postmistress here in Clinton Corners. And I looked at it and I said, that's not the first female postmistress, because my great-grandmother was a postmistress here at least as early as the 40s. And up to like maybe the mid-50s. So there was that, and we got to go to breakfast with a friend of my mom's that, she grew up with, and a couple of second cousins. So that was nice. And then the last day, full day that we were in town, we, Sean and I and my brother and his wife went to the Vanderbilt spring and fall home, the spring and fall cottage of the Vanderbilts. And
Which was monstrously huge.
yeah, it was. And it was one of those places where the wealthy people of the, what do they call that age? The
Gilded Age?
Gilded Age would go to vacation, and then people would show up and visit them and stay the weekend.
Yeah.
So lots of rooms.
And what's funny is, so we got on the train at Grand Central, and we headed up the Hudson River line and went to the end of it at Poughkeepsie. And on the way up there, we passed like West Point, we passed the Sing Sing prison, we passed Bard College, which is where Steely Dan and Chevy Chase came out of. We passed like all of these things, these amazing bridges, and like had this river view all the way up, and like a comedy movie, like the farther we got along there, the less populated everything got. And so you'd like pull into a station and there's like 5 buildings. You're like, oh, which was really, really kind of funny. And the rest of the community was like that. And then from Clinton Corners going to the Vanderbilt thing, you would look out across the river again, and there's like a big monastery up there and like all these giant buildings and things, but very few people seemingly living there. It was really weird, but charming at the same time.
Yes, and beautiful.
Mm-hmm. The population density of Clinton Corners is 110 people per square mile. So it's pretty, and they have no schools listed.
They probably don't have schools there anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The majority of people living there appear to be 40 and older.
New York City's population density is 29,302.66.
Per square mile?
Yes.
29,000 people per square mile?
29,302.66 people per square mile.
Holy crud.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's 3 times the population density of Los Angeles.
Yeah, because New York, unlike Los
It's
Angeles, which
vertical.
is spread out like a melting ice cream cone, New York is stacked. New York is that cone sticking out of the melting ice cream. That's really funny. Interesting. I think all told, your mom really enjoyed her trip. And
She said she did.
that
Yeah,
makes me happy.
I believe it. And we found a great souvenir. There was a place that I had wanted to stop to see if we could get food, which I'm glad when we were hungry we didn't stop there because they had hardly anything. They had like, candy and stuff. There was a tractor place. I don't know if it was in Clinton Corners or if it was next door to Clinton Corners, but anyway, there was a tractor place. And we went in, and it turned out to be Farmer Supply / gift shop.
Oh, right.
And they had a sign that said Clinton Corners and had its
Latitude and
longitude.
Yeah.
And I was like, mine. And we bought that and brought it home for my mom and my aunt, and they already have it up on the wall.
It really is. It was kind of like this very surprisey little touristy strip mall-y thing, which was kind of nice. Even though it said Tractor Supply, it really wasn't so much.
I think in the back is where they had the other stuff.
Yeah.
Feed and they had a whole room where they had baby chickens. But there weren't any when we went because it's not baby chicken season.
Yeah. And we got local honey from somebody's hive. They were putting honey out in jars, which was cool. Colleen got maple syrup that was made in the area. It was pretty good.
Yeah.
All told, a good trip. We still haven't quite recovered from it, but it's nice to kind of like sort all this stuff out in our mind by telling you guys and see. I have so many more pictures to post. I've got like I posted like 4 directories of just one day where we walked something like 12 miles, which was crazy. But we really did enjoy it. I think that we should at some point go back and, just Colleen and I.
Yeah.
I think we could do more damage that way.
I think we could go through a lot, yeah.
But we really did. We had a really terrific time. So much fun.
And now it's the top of the hour.
It is. You could be listening to us on sci-fi.radio, sci-fi for your Wi-Fi. That's a handy URL, by the way. Just type it in, sci-fi.radio. All sorts of news and reviews and things up there, like the aforementioned trailer for Lower Decks for Star Trek. That's up there, and all sorts of other stuff. You could be watching us on Facebook or on Twitch or on YouTube. Any of those are very cool. Let us know if you are doing that, because any way you can, which is really cool. I did notice that we got a new subscriber, which was very cool.
That's neat.
And although it's Clover J. Goose, and so Jeff is puzzling out who they are. Which is great. But we're really grateful for you guys tuning in, and we're sorry we were gone the past 2 weeks, but it was pretty cool stuff.
Not that sorry.
I am Sean Obi-Shawn Crosby.
I'm calling Kaylee Crosby.
Jeff Donoho, feeling under the weather. And I'll tell you, man. So Jeff's been hitting the pavement, and we went. He and I. He got there first. He went with Sparrow, and they went to a job fair, which was kind of weird. Like not run the way I would have run a job fair. So I got there. They were shutting everything down, like a half hour early. It's a real bummer. And then he went to another one this week, and he's been like really hitting the bricks, looking for work and stuff, which is pretty crazy. So no wonder he's not feeling well. Been around all these strangers, been talking himself up. It's hard to talk about yourself a lot, and job hunting's like a real drag, I think. So, let's see here. I suppose we should talk about our usual stuff here.
Yeah. Do you want to do Star Wars?
Yeah, I'll do Star Wars. Star Wars birthday history on this day. Well, actually, on this yesterday, 10/9/1920, Jason Wingreen had his birthday. He was the original voice of Boba-Kit in The Empire Strikes Back. Of course, he has been replaced as time has gone on, because they want to make him much more like the clones that Boba-Kit spawned. He was in Archie Bunker's place. He was in the original Star Trek 77 Sunset Strip. He was in Airplane. He played a doctor in Airplane, Dr. Brody. And he's got 210 credits to his name. Hill Street Blues and all sorts of shows that and stuff that you've forgotten, like Oh God, You Devil, and Scarecrow and Mrs. King, and all of that kind of stuff. Vegas and Roots and Charlie's Angels and Rockford Files. We had Bill E. Martin, not to be confused with Billy Martin, but in the Phantom Menace video game, he did a whole bunch of voices and stuff there. He was born in 1945. For Star Wars history, on the 6th of October in 2006, StarWars.com was voted the favorite movie website by 30,000 readers at the Movies.com annual poll. It was a pretty good site back in the day. Coming hot off the 2005 Star Wars movie. I'm sure it was really popular after the prequel trilogy. Jedi training, oh my God, started at Disney's Hollywood Studios in Florida. Kind of a weird thing for me because I'd been doing Jedi training at that time, and they kind of kidnapped my script, and I got it back with big sections that were given to Disney. That was kind of weird. But the Jedi training ran for a really long time. It moved over to Disneyland. They did it for years and years and years, and in fact, they revamped it at one point to have more of a Rebels kind of feel, and like redesigned the entire show. So, 2007. It's longer ago than I care to admit. Rebels premiered on the 3rd of October 2014. It just recently turned 10. I find Rebels superior to the Clone Wars. Your mileage may vary, but I liked it more, I think. A story ostensibly about Ezra Bridger, but in reality, it came to be about the entire crew of the Ghost. Introduced us to Chopper, who is wanted for crimes against the Empire. He's a droid with a terrible body count. We got Harris Syndulla, and we got Kanan Jarrus and Sabine Wren, all sorts of really good characters. Zev was there. I liked it. I thought it was pretty neat. And it seems funny that it's 10 years old already. But there we go. So if the
seems normal to me that it's 10 years old, but
I guess if the Clone Wars turned you off, take a chance on Rebels, because I think you might like it better. And it does play into the original trilogy movies, and I think that's helpful. I think that's one of the things that makes it really good.
I think that it's less political, and the characters are more likable.
Yes, that's for sure.
So, I like it way better. Theme parks. Horror Nights Wolfman photo op was removed in Florida.
We talked about this on the last show before vacation, where they had done a Blumhouse Wolfman photo op, and it was not well received. And we don't know, because of course the movie isn't out yet, we don't know if we saw a werewolf in mid-transition or, some other circumstance. But he didn't look like the typical werewolf. He was just this weird, kind of gross-looking dude. And so as a result, I don't think that it's a bad thing they got rid of it. Because if they didn't go the full werewolf because they didn't want to tease it, showing us half the werewolf was not very good. But we won't know, of course, till this movie comes out what the heck it was. Because if that's what the werewolf is, and that's the final form, then maybe they need to rethink it. Somebody keeps calling me here. I'm busy. Go away.
Wow. So in California, at California Adventure, the headline is, "Woman arrested and dragged out of Disney Park after lying about kids' ages." And I thought, dragged out of Disney Park? That sounds like hyperbole. First of all, she said that her kids were 2, because if kids are under 3, they get in free. And the cast members said that the children appeared to be older than 2.
Right.
And then the mother refused to comply with the security cast members. She was ultimately arrested for trespassing. During the debacle, an officer reportedly requested to see her ID, and she refused that as well, which landed her with a charge of obstructing a police officer. And there's video on TikTok of her being escorted out. So they probably weren't actually dragged. But I haven't watched the TikTok video, so I don't know.
Well,
the video contains footage of the woman's children crying and clinging to their mother and yelling, "Help and help me," to the onlookers.
Yeah, that's I don't know, because I've seen plenty of situations where somebody has been behaving badly at a theme park, and then they go over the top to, try to gain sympathy for things. But I've also seen, other guests do horrible, horrible things to other guests, like when those women beat up another woman.
Oh, these children are not two.
Oh, are you looking at the video?
Yes, they are. I don't know how tall the mother is, but they come up to her chest.
Oh, okay.
There's if they are two, there's something wrong with them. They do not look two at all. They look like they're 4.
That's
maybe even 5.
That's too bad. Let me see if I can get the video over here. It's people try to do that all the time. And look, if your kid's 3, and they look like they're 2,
3,
then whatever.
And they don't ask. Usually, these kids do not look 2.
All right.
Or they don't even look 3.
Here we go. So, is this the video you're watching?
I can't tell. I have a lag. That's it. That is the video I'm watching.
Okay, so it's those aren't 2-year-olds at all.
No, they're
those
like
kids look like they're
4
5.
or 5. Yeah.
And they don't look like they're being dragged per se.
No,
either.
they are walking.
They're being walked out.
Yeah.
But I would be crying for sure if I
got kicked out of Disneyland.
Got kicked out of Disneyland because my mom did something dumb.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So don't try to bring your 5-year-old to Disneyland
and say they're
and get
2.
them in for free.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. And I think 2 is a pretty fair age to cut things off. I feel like there is a certain age by which kids just can't really appreciate Disneyland. I see some very new babies at Disneyland all the time, and it always freaks me out that they're there. I'm like, is that really what you wanna do? It's like, man, it's just kind of keep them at home till they're old enough to experience that.
Right. And the big story of the last 3 days is the price hike at Disneyland. They raised the prices on both the annual passes, the Magic Keys, and the daily tickets. The CNN Travel that has the article that we've posted, although everybody was posting this article, or various articles about it, has a graphic that shows the Disneyland Magic Key prices from 2021 to 2025, which in 2021 they weren't called Magic Keys, were they?
I don't think so.
Maybe were they called Magic Keys when they reopened after the pandemic? So that would have been 2021.
That makes sense.
So the Magic Key, which I am letting lapse on Monday. Monday's my last day of my Magic Key, and I'm not renewing this time. In 2019, when I first got an annual pass that was the equivalent of this one, the Enchant Key, it was around $500. And now in 2024, they raised it to $974. So as they show it here from 2021 to 2025, it's gone up 50%.
Yeah, it's just crazy to me. And there are so many people I know who are bailing out. They're like, I'm not renewing. I can't afford to renew. It's just too much. And I know a lot of people who are super hardcore Disney fans who are just heartbroken that they have to do it because it's gotten so expensive. And so the prices here for this, and I just renewed my key. My key went up $100, and I just renewed it at that $100, quote unquote discount, because we did it like right before we went on vacation. But the price increase of these things is getting crazy, and the regular tickets being increased as well. They're going up like $10 to $15. Park hopper tickets are going up between $65 and $75.
So the cheapest one-day ticket you can get that is not a park hopper is $104, and there is a very limited time period when you can get them. There's like a couple of weekdays in January right now on the calendar are the only things. Like, the calendar doesn't go that far, so it doesn't go into February, but there's a couple of days in January, and that price hasn't gone up since 2018.
Yeah.
That $104. But since then, they introduced, what's it called? Fluctuating prices?
Right.
Where when it gets busier, they can raise the price of the ticket.
Yeah.
And the top of that is up over $200 now for a premium day. So like Life Day, I think, is almost $200.
Yeah, I can't remember what they officially call it. It's like
Surge pricing.
Surge pricing. That was it. Flex pricing is what I was thinking of, but that wasn't quite right. Disney had a quarterly earnings call where they said that they were losing some money.
They should stop giving so much to their top executives
in their theme parks, and it's pretty terrible. And part of it, like, there's a philosophical issue that I have with it, where they always say, what would Walt do? Let's do what Walt would do, blah, blah, blah. But Walt set up Disneyland in such a way that you could go and get into Disneyland and not have to ride any rides. You could just go and hang out, which is honestly what a lot of people with passes do. They go, they hang out, they get a little something to eat, buy some souvenirs and stuff for themselves or friends. They don't need to go on every single ride when they go. And
we went yesterday, and we went on 2 rides.
We went on 2 rides. And that's the way the old model was, where you had to buy tickets for the extra rides. But, for $1.50, you could get in the park. And it was easy.
The price for Life Day, which is on November 17th this year, well, every year, is $180.
Ugh. And we have to change the weekday Life Day thing because they're closing the park early at 7 p.m.
We haven't been able to figure out why they're closing the park.
Yeah, I've had some cast members look. They don't know.
Yeah.
They don't know why. But yeah, all of the various costs, and they're talking about, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to expand, we're going to do, and nobody cares about the expansions, especially stuff like Avatar Land. Like, my Facebook feed is full of I don't want Avatar Land. I don't care about Avatar Land. They don't need to do that for me. Who wants it? And I can't find anybody who's excited about it.
What's funny is that the adding a park hopper onto your one park ticket is an additional between $57 and $75, I think.
Yeah.
It was what, $65 or $56 to get into
Knott's Berry Farm?
No, Disneyland in Japan.
Oh, in Japan.
Tokyo.
Yeah.
Tokyo
Well,
Disneyland.
and actually, so this is a really interesting point that someone has brought up many times on my feed, that you could take the money that you would pay, like you and I, if we took the money that 2 passes cost, we could go to Japan and have
two annual passes? Or
2 annual passes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, 2 annual
I was
passes.
Oh, totally.
It would cover the airfare. It would
Yeah.
cover the hotel. It would cover 2 days, like a ticket each park, because they don't do park hoppers, so you got to do 1 ticket 1 day. it would cover a trip to Tokyo. And that's what a lot of people are doing. They're like, I guess it's time to go to other Disney parks because we're not going to Disneyland anymore. And so that's going to be really interesting. And if you go to Tokyo Disneyland, Disney doesn't own that. Disney licenses the stuff, but that's owned by a completely different company. So it's not really giving money to Disney when you go. It's an interesting thing. And if you've never been, oh my God, go, because it's incredible.
Well, I mean, I wonder what it costs to go to like Shanghai.
I don't know.
Like that.
I imagine people will be doing that math shortly.
Right.
Because it's just crazy. And but here's a guy and he's like praising that Disney has held on to their first tier pricing for years, comparing it to the $1.50 hot dog. But it's still like $100 to get into the park. So it's
a lot.
It says that $104 ticket is only available during 10 weekdays in January and 5 weekdays in February. So, that's pretty limited. So comparing it to the Costco hot dog, where you can go get a $1.50 hot dog and a drink any day of the week, is a terrible comparison.
Yeah, it is. So Hank is 92, and he is Disney's current longest-standing employee. He started at the park 62 years ago. He went to Disneyland on his honeymoon with his wife in 1955 and became a Jungle Cruise skipper 3 years later. And he worked his way up to being a firefighter.
Yeah, it's and he was a firefighter in Garden Grove. And he decided to do his off time over at Disneyland, which is really, really kind of interesting. So, this is him, and he's still going. Disney actually released a little video of him talking about his experiences there and whatnot. This is one of the local news channels. But I mean, gosh, what a career! And going from Jungle Cruise skipper to being a
firefighter.
To being a firefighter there is pretty amazing. So
yeah.
But wow.
So today, Disneyland announced that Magic Key holders would be getting a few weeks of previews for Tiana's Bayou Adventure when the log ride reopens with its new theming.
Right. So I've been seeing people on my Facebook page who are cast members talking about getting their own reservations to be guinea pigs on Tiana's Bayou Adventure. And of course, everybody has been talking about it since it replaced Splash Mountain. The fact that they're letting Magic Key holders in is new information. Because I've got a whole bunch of friends who already have reservations and they're talking about it. They're really excited about it. But this letting key holders in is new.
So what they're going to do with the Magic Key holders is first of all, you have to be a Magic Key holder. You have to have a reservation for the park. And you, on one of the days that they are doing this, and there's like 10 or 12 days, you have to make a virtual queue. You have to join a virtual queue at 7 a.m. So that means you have to be in the park at 7 a.m. in order to join the virtual queue, I believe.
Right, to get on the ride from 3 p.m. to 9 p.m. or whenever they're closing the park.
Some of the days they have it from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m.
Yeah, and 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. too,
right.
Which is interesting. There are 15 days they're doing this between October 21st to November 12th.
And in addition to getting to do the preview ride, you get to take home a commemorative Magic Key keepsake.
They're-
Who knows what that will be?
They're going to give you a wristband.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it'll work the way the current Haunted Mansion queue works.
I wonder, though, because it says they'll be using a virtual queue, and Magic Key holders will need a park reservation to be able to attempt at 7 a.m. So, and the park isn't even open at 7 a.m.
Right.
on a lot of those days. It opens at 8 with early entry happening at 7. So I wonder if they're doing the thing. I remember for Rise of the Resistance for a little while, towards the end of the time when they were doing virtual queues, you could actually, for the first one of the day, you could log into your Disney account from home.
From home, yes.
At 7 a.m. and
Yeah.
do that. So
I mean, that would be pretty interesting. I'm willing to try that on a day that I'm going to Disneyland with the acknowledged, especially if they start at 3.
yeah.
So if like I can make a reservation at 7 and that doesn't start till 3, I can get there by 3.
Right.
And, that would actually be pretty cool.
Yeah. So you'll have to try that out on Tuesday, October 22nd.
Yeah, we'll see. We've got a little time before that happens, but
Yep. Universal is getting 4 new entrance signs in Florida. They look like
they look like any other theme park entrance sign, really.
Yeah,
but what they are doing is, and I don't know if this is going to be digital and they're going to change it or what, but what it is they are adding like movie images to the sign.
It distinctly says that the first sign has Jurassic World, the second sign has Shrek and Puss in Boots. Another sign has Hogwarts, and then the final one is Trolls and Kung Fu Panda.
Yeah, so I didn't know if they were gonna mix it up with like digital signs and change
They
these.
don't seem to be digital.
No, they don't. They just seem to be more like posters and stuff. So, and they're interesting. I don't think seeing them would make me really excited. Like, oh my God, I'm at Universal Studios! Yay!
Right. Hyperspace Lounge on the Disney Wish. There's an article about that. That there's going to be on the Disney Wish. There's a lounge that looks very similar to what they had at the Disney Star Wars Hotel.
Right, the Halcyon.
Yeah.
It sounds like something that some of the people will be kind of interested in. They've done little bits like this on some of their other ships.
It's very fancy looking.
I wish this picture was a little bit bigger. Here we go. Maybe I can make this work for you. Actually, so this weekend was HalcyCon, which was the convention for people
who had been on the Halcyon.
been on the Halcyon and wanted to try and reconnect with that sort of thing. I'm kind of ambivalent about that because I run into a lot of people who tell me I can't understand what that experience was like, and I never will. And honestly, that just puts me off.
Well, and also the fact that you have done many LARPs.
I mean, I understand what an immersive thing is. We have run immersive environment events.
Right.
And I know what it is, and I've certainly been on enough movie sets to get the feeling for what,
you saw
this
the play Tamara.
kind of thing is. Yeah.
So
And
I feel that they are probably wrong.
And we even did the Adventurers Club in Walt Disney World.
Did.
And so, that just kind of like puts me off a little bit. So whenever people try to get really excited about it, I'm just like, yeah, whatever. Because, I mean, unless they're nice about it. I've met a couple people who are really nice about it, but the majority of people,
Interesting.
less so.
So the
But it looks
Hyperspace
neat.
Lounge
I like it.
appears to be on deck 3 of the Disney Wish, which means that it's probably under the waterline. Maybe under the waterline.
Deck 3. Could be, yeah. I mean, they don't have to have any real portholes to look out
They've
anywhere.
just got the screen with the...
It's interesting that the window that they are showing looks like they're over Tatooine with the Falcon. So
It does.
I imagine that periodically you will go into hyperspace and then you will come out at a different planet and look at that for a while.
This particular area of Deck 3 is got the Walt Disney Theater and then just a ton of, well, I guess there's not a ton. There are 3 bars and 2 restaurants and a bunch of shops.
3 bars is a lot.
They've got the Star Wars Hyperspace Lounge, something called the Bayou, and something called Nightingales. And then on the other side of the deck, they've got shopping, 3 Wishes, Once Upon a Time, Royal Regalia, and Enchanted Castle Jewels. And then the only other things on the deck are the Grand Hall, the Oceaneer Club check-in, and then dining rooms called 1923 Walt Disney and 1923 Roy Disney.
Yeah. They have kind of like a lazy river thing and water slide that they're doing like kind of a Mickey Mouse animated treatment to. So they show you videos as you go through the thing and kind of basically they're doing Runaway Railway on the ship. But you're in a little raft and they're spraying you with water.
So on deck 2 of this ship, 1 floor down, they've got Star Wars Cargo Bay.
Is that a store?
I don't think so because it's got a star next to it. So I think it's an activity. It's probably like a kids area.
Yeah.
They've also got Marvel's Superhero Academy, Disney's Oceaneer Club, The Hub, Fairy Tale Hall, Walt Disney Imagineering Lab, and Mickey and Minnie Captain's Deck.
Oh, here we go. Enter a galaxy far, far away. Get ready to support the resistance at Star Wars Cargo Bay, a highly interactive space modeled after a high-tech cargo bay. Here, young rebels are put to the test as they feed lifelike creatures and encounter some of the most dangerous beings in the galaxy. With the help of Rey and Chewbacca, they channel the Force to secure the ship.
So it is a kids area because it says young people.
It's like the kids area of the Halcyon.
Right.
That's pretty funny. I mean, I appreciate what Disney does with their cruise ships.
If
I
I
think
had
they're
more
pretty
money,
fun.
I would go on a Disney cruise.
I would try one, sure. I'm holding out for Elsa's Frozen Snowball Fight activity. I want to see that on a ship.
There are a lot of bars on this ship.
Well, when you take your kids on a Disney cruise, don't you think you're going to need to find a space to go hide and drink a lot?
They need a Disney adults cruise. So you don't. But then people would be drinking too much.
Right.
Yeah, that's the problem.
I'm going to blast through some of these rest in peace things just because, there's so many of them over the past few weeks. Catherine Crosby died at the age of 90. She was in all sorts of movies like The Seventh Voyage of Sinbad and things like that. And, of course, wife of Bing Crosby. She passed away. Maggie Smith, probably best known recently for all of her Hogwarts and Downton Abbey appearances as the Dowager Countess and as Minerva McGonagall. She passed away at the age of 89. John Ashton passed away. He was Taggart in the Beverly Hills Cop films. He was 76. Singer and actor Chris Christopherson died at the age of 88. Dikembe Mutombo, who was an NBA center, passed away at the age of 58, which seems a little on the young side, as is Gavin Creel, who passed away at the age of 48. He was a Broadway actor, and actually I was very surprised when we were in New York that they didn't lower the lights for him while we were there on Broadway as a memorial, because everybody was just so so shocked at his passing at 48. It was just too young. Pete Rose, baseball player who was in trouble for betting on baseball, who was promised he would never be in the Baseball Hall of Fame in his lifetime because, despite his amazing achievements in baseball, but because he bet on baseball, which was a no-no. He passed away at the age of 83. Ken Page died at 70. Also a Broadway actor, and he was in The Wiz and Cats, and he did Les Miserables and Faust and all sorts of that. And of course, he was the voice of Oogie Boogie in Nightmare Before Christmas. It was very strange to be at California Adventure last night, where they play his voice over loudspeakers for Halloween all evening. Robert Watts, who is a producer of all sorts of tremendous movies, passed away, including Return of the Jedi, and he passed away at the age of 86, and did all sorts of stuff. He met with Gary Kurtz, and Gary Kurtz brought him in on The Empire Strikes Back. Then he worked on Raiders of the Lost Ark and Last Crusade and Temple of Doom, a whole bunch of other Steven Spielberg productions, including Who Framed Roger Rabbit and An American Tail and things like that. So sad to hear of Robert Watts passing. John Amos, actor probably known for being the patriarch of the Evans family in Good Times. He was Kunta Kinte in Roots. He was in Psych and in Die Hard 2. Did all sorts of stuff. Good Times was a spin-off of the Maude television show and All in the Family, of which there were many. I think All in the Family holds the record for the most spin-off shows from various characters coming out of it. He was in Coming to America. He was in Beastmaster. All sorts of great stuff. One of those actors who had a lot of gravity everywhere he went, every role he played. Christopher Ciccone, artist and brother of Madonna, died at the age of 63. Sissy Houston was a singer. I meant to play something for her on the show this week, and I forgot. I'll have to do it tomorrow on my morning show. Sissy Houston was a background singer for Elvis Presley. If you ever want to hear her crack Elvis Presley up and go absolutely nuts, she is the singer singing in the background when Elvis Presley makes up his own lyrics to Are You Lonesome Tonight, cracks himself up, loses it on stage, can't recover, and Sissy just keeps doing her job. And Elvis Lee, he's like, you sing it, honey, you keep going. It was absolutely hysterical. And of course, related to Whitney Houston was her mother. Had an incredible career on her own, though. And then Ethel Kennedy passed away, activist and wife of Robert F. Kennedy. She died at the age of 96. Lots of people passing in the past couple of weeks. Absolutely nuts. There's the sheer volume of people. But there you go. That's everybody.
Wow. Thank you, Sean.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see what. Let's talk about Krispy Kreme's new donuts.
We can do, sure.
Krispy Kreme came out with Ghostbuster donuts. I don't know why.
I think just because
Halloween, maybe?
they like to do tie-ins, and it's a pretty good Halloween thing. And so Colleen, probably against her better judgment, because I did not actually tell her to pick these up. For me, but she did nonetheless.
But I also said I was not going to eat any of them, and he should not eat all of them.
I shouldn't eat all of them.
So he does need to give away.
Either. So, well, we have a neighbor who has a Ghostbusters thing. So,
and a lot of children.
This is the box that they come in. This one came from our local supermarket. It's a couple blocks away. And so we've got...
you get 2 premium donuts and 4...
regular ones.
Regular
So
donuts.
there's one with a little Ghostbusters chocolate detail on it, which is cool. We've got Slimer, who's looking very much like the cartoon series Slimer, which is really neat. And then the rest of them, there's like a orange one with sprinkles and the chocolate ones with sprinkles and things like that. It's kind of neat. I kind of dig the box. You know, if you're a Ghostbusters fan, it's not bad. You can, of course, go to Krispy Kreme and pick up a
Just a couple.
couple of donuts there too. Although last time I did that for the Dr. Pepper ones, they got really grumpy with me, which was they're like, "Are you sure you only want like 3 donuts?" I'm like, "Yes." It's kind of weird. I think the Slimer one is a jelly one filled with slime.
Oh, that's fun.
Because it's definitely a jelly. It's like purple and green with slime on it. It's very cool. So I'm guessing that whatever's in here is probably slimy.
It might be green.
Right? That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
I might have to do some further exploration. But
Right.
anyway, I'm very grateful to Colleen for getting those for me anyway. They do look really fun.
Sean, what do you want to talk about?
Let's see. What I don't remember what I put
Sam Raimi.
on our little
Under Marvel Disney.
Sam Raimi under Marvel Disney?
Uh-huh.
Oh, okay. Oh, here we go. Oh, yeah. So Doctor Strange 3, which I can't say I was really happy with Doctor Strange 2.
I hated
The Multiverse of Madness. I didn't like how they handled Wanda, especially after the exemplary WandaVision show, which was so good. Of course, we're in the middle right now of Agatha All Along, which is a continuation of that. But Sam Raimi is usually pretty good as a director, and I like a lot of his stuff. But Sam did Multiverse of Madness, which I didn't like. It's really kind of tough. He did Spider-Man movies, of course, and things like that. So this says he's in talks to come back, so he's not confirmed. Could be a rumor. But critics didn't like Doctor Strange 2, but it still made almost $1 billion around the world. So that's considered a hit. So they're bringing him back. But Sam Raimi was supposed to come back for Spider-Man 4 for Tom Holland, but the Hollywood Reporter says that Destin Daniel Cretton might come do that. He did Shang-Chi and the Ten Rings, so we'll have to see how it shakes out. All of this, of course, is subject to a healthy dose of rumor, so
we got
think of it what you will.
2 announcements this week about stores that were doing things,
Yes.
and both of them disappointed me greatly because they're not local to me.
Yeah, I got to say that's a real bummer.
The first one is they announced that they were going to put together some new adult Happy Meals with the Friends characters, and there are 6 different ones. They come with the little Friends characters in it.
They're like Funko Pops.
And they're only in Spain.
Right, because
What?
Spain is a hotbed of Friends fandom.
Apparently. I'm so disappointed, but the little toys that they have in here are just super cute.
Well, let me see if I can get a picture.
Oh, you know what? This article does not have the toys.
Not have the picture.
Yeah, I must have seen a different article.
Let me see if I can dig them up real quick, because they were. Oh, here's one. This is cute enough.
So cute.
And
The Monica one is a little chef.
yeah, so here I got you. Da, da, da. There we go. So yeah, so they're really cute. And I think that the they put some thought into it. Like Joey's got the duck, and Chandler has the chick,
Aw.
and Phoebe's
got her
guitar. Ross has the monkey
Nothing.
on his head. Ross?
Oh, that is the monkey.
He's got the monkey
he's got
on his
Marcel
head.
on his head.
Yeah.
And Rachel has a coffee cup.
Right. And she's obviously working at Central Perk. And
Right.
I mean, they're really cute. And it looks like a fun little meal. It is aimed at adults. You know, it's definitely fun. And I think they're making a mistake by not bringing it here.
Well, hopefully they will amend that and bring it here.
Because honestly, it seems like such a weird thing for Spain.
And then the second store that vastly disappointed me is we heard the announcement that Spirit Halloween is taking over Christmas with the equivalent of Spirit Halloween stores with Spirit Christmas stores. Yeah, they're only doing 10 of them, and they're all in the Northeast.
Right.
So
New Jersey is the flagship store.
rude.
That's what they're doing. But I gotta say, so Spirit Halloween is known, of course, for taking over other
Closed shops.
closed stores. And
like
so like
all of the Bed Bath & Beyond shops.
right. And so in this picture here, that's a Best Buy, obviously. And they've covered up the logo and they put Spirit Halloween there. So imagine that with that saying Spirit Christmas in red and green, I'm sure. Although they're going to have to get rid of their little Angel of Death mascot for, I assume, like a Santa or something.
But the thing is that they specialize, they have decor, but they specialize in costumes.
Right.
So they're going to have to either be smaller or go really heavy on the decor.
All I can think of is that, yeah, they're going to
And
go
all of the
mostly for
blow-up
decorations.
lawn decorations. That's what they're going to specialize in, is the lawn decorations.
Right. And they will have like elf costumes and Santa costumes in a
Oh, and maybe
minor
those
role.
suits that people wear that have like candy canes on them.
Yeah, or bad Christmas sweaters.
Yeah, they'll probably
I mean,
have a lot
there's
of those.
probably enough to do it. But the thing that's surprising me about all of this is that I would have, and of course I don't run this company, I would have put one in 10 different cities and went, let's try LA, let's try New York, let's try New Jersey, let's try Chicago, let's try Orlando, whatever it is. Putting them all in the Northeast kind of makes sense because that's where the weather is. It's going to be snowy and slushy and people celebrate Christmas properly, as opposed to LA where it's like you don't even need a jacket on Christmas Day. But that said, I would have scattered them around the country just to see which ones did well and which ones didn't, so you could scratch some cities off the list and go, oh yeah, LA sucked, Vegas sucked, we're not doing that again. But yeah, I don't know. This is hot on the heels, by the way, of Saturday Night Live last week doing a Spirit Halloween parody commercial.
Oh, did they really?
Yeah, and Spirit got mad.
Oh, that's
They
funny.
clapped back hard because they're like, stop making fun of us. And
I mean, it's just going to get them publicity.
well, and that was the thing, is that like you knew that it was like an inevitable thing that, you know, if you become popular enough, Saturday Night Live's going to make fun of you. And the Spirit Halloween place, the corporate people are like, well, you know, SNL is not relevant anymore. You know, they're like, it's a irrelevant 50-year-old TV show, dated references, unknown cast members, and shrinking ratings. They got really, really possessive over it. Whereas the they had posted a thing that said, well, we're great at raising things back from the dead at SNL, you know, which is weird. So, yeah, I don't know. And the joke was, when others leave, Spirit Halloween shows up, which it honestly has been an internet meme for a long time. It's like anytime anything goes out of business, somebody slaps a Spirit Halloween banner on it. And it could be like Joe Biden said he was going to step down, and somebody slapped a Spirit Halloween thing on the White House in a picture. You know, it's just what people do. They got to lighten up.
Francis.
Right? Really sad.
Yeah. What do you want to talk about? We're still. Are we? Is it your turn? I got lost.
I don't know. Let's.
Whatever. You want to talk about the Addams Family?
Oh, yeah, I guess so.
They are starting today, coming to Burger King, and hopefully that means that they're here in Los Angeles, and we could go tomorrow and look for Wednesday's Whopper, Things Rings, Gomez Churro Fries, Morticia's Cookie Chocolate Shake, and a kids meal that has any one of 6 different toys. Addams Family toys.
I will tell you, I really enjoyed what they did with the Spider-Man burger with the red and black bun. I thought it was super cool. This one's purple.
Yep, with black sesame seeds.
So Laura obviously has got to go to Burger King now because she's
Right.
purple lady, right? So she's got to
Yeah.
get the purple Whopper.
And the purple Burger King crown.
Yeah, it's with the Addams Family on it, which is
Right.
like really super cool. I think that's really great. So
I don't like Swiss cheese, but I do like purple potatoes, and that is a purple potato bun.
yeah, and like I said, I really enjoyed the Spider-Man one.
But I would probably be getting a kids meal because that's how I roll.
Well, you can get a Whopper
and
Junior.
Morticia has hair play. I don't know if they'll have
Morticia has hair play?
Yeah, and the doll, the Morticia
Oh, the doll.
doll. They've got a Gomez Morticia Fester thing.
I don't
and
see that here.
Wednesday, it's not in that article. I had to look it up.
Ugh, how rude.
Wednesday, and I think and a tombstone, a tomb with thing coming out of it.
And it's very specifically the Addams Family cartoon.
It is.
It's not.
It's not Wednesday.
It's not Wednesday. It's not, and it's not the movies. It's the Charles Addams cartoon,
Right.
which is super super cool. So, yeah, I'm down. Let's see. Cotino is getting model homes. If you don't remember, Cotino is the Story Living by Disney community out near Palm Springs.
I looked at this article and I didn't see the any look
No.
inside the model homes.
Oh, there is. It's in the video.
Oh.
And here I'll show you guys the video real quick while we talk about it. What they are doing is
They've got sort of modern Southwest look on the outside.
there we go. So what they're doing is kind of showing off the interior of it. It's
Oh, I see.
it's nothing to write home about. They're very basic things. And honestly, it kind of reminds me of some of the Disney hotels. And then, of course, who knows? They've had professionals decorate this stuff. What does your
Oh, yeah.
house look like? How much
Right.
decoration is in it? But, the built-in cabinets are really neat, and they've done some really kind of cool stuff. They have a lot of space here to fill.
I would go be a looky-loo in the model home if
If I found myself out there,
Or-
I
yeah.
would go check it out.
I
Yeah.
wouldn't go out there just for that.
But, but yeah, if I was
Look
passing...
at that little fake lake they
Palm
have. That's
Spring.
kind of cool.
Well, and that's weird that they've got that, like, out in the middle of the desert.
Yeah.
It's just
I bet that's going to be
kinda nuts.
expensive to keep
But
up.
this is a model here of it in the big, giant pool area and community centers and stuff. And
Cabanas.
it's very Palm Springs. I mean, it really
Oh, yeah.
does. And it does look like a Disney resort, except you buy a house there or do whatever. So, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I would definitely check that out, I think.
I wonder how much they're going to cost.
That is a really good question. I mean, I assume if they have model homes out there, they're already...
From the upper 1 millions to over 2 millions.
So what our neighborhood costs.
The smallest homes with 1 and 2 story models ranging from roughly 2,260 to 2,820 square feet have prices starting in the upper 1 millions.
Interesting.
Yikes. And there are only 4 different floor plans. Interesting. Anything else that you want to touch on before we sign out?
Oh, let's see. Let me go back over here. Velma has been canceled after 2 seasons. Apparently, somebody was saying that the reason they got a second season is a lot of people were hate watching the first season. But I haven't watched it. It didn't inspire me enough to go take a look at it.
I've heard that the animation was good, but the scripts were not.
Yeah, and that's kind of a bummer. So anyway, we're not gonna see any more from Velma for the time being. And to be fair, like a lot of what we consider to be classic cartoon properties, they only got a season or 2, and then later on they did another version, and later on they did another. Like Scooby-Doo kept getting revived again and again and again.
Right.
So it's not a big deal.
You should talk about what you and Jeff are doing next Thursday. So we won't be on the air next Thursday, or
no, we're gonna try and be on the air by remote.
Okay, so maybe be on the air next Thursday.
So fingers crossed that we will be on the air. Alan Kalachi, who is over at the Upland Library, is doing an event that is for Halloween, where people are telling their real ghost stories, and we're going as Ghostbusters. He asked for some atmosphere there, and I thought, well, while we're going out there, the only way we can really go out there is if we broadcast the show from here. So he's got a guest that's coming in who's written a book that's going to talk about their book. Someone's going to talk about the local experiences in Upland. We are going to be in the Carnegie Building, which is supposed to be haunted. And so we should be doing the show, probably a shorter show. It'll end at about 8 o'clock or 8:30. But we're going to talk about spooky stuff for Halloween. So we'll see how that works. We're going to truck out all the gear and try to do it as a remote show, which we have done in the past, but we haven't done lately. So fingers crossed, and pray for a swift internet connection over at the Upland Public Library. If you're in the Southern California area and you want to come out, you can. Just go look up the Upland Public Library, get the address, come on down. It is next Thursday, and we are starting, I think, at 6:30 officially, and it'll be over at about 8:30 officially. So
and then
could be fun.
That following Saturday, Sean and I are helping to put on a show for a new performing group called Rayford Radio,
which is 3 different groups mashed together. It's the Lanterman Radio Roundup, it's Lux Radio Theater, which is our old group, and it's David Milano's old group, which was Macabre Fantasy Theater. And we're doing spooky tales live on stage, old-time radio drama style. So we're starting with Arsenic and Old Lace. We're going to do an H.P. Lovecraft story that David turned into a radio drama. And then we're going to do Sorry, Wrong Number, largely considered to be the spookiest, most suspenseful radio show ever produced. They did it like 8 times. And Agnes Moorehead from Bewitched was the star of that. All 8 times. She kept coming back to do it again and again. In our case, we have Deborah Christofferson, who is a tremendous actress and is really given Agnes Moorehead a run for her money, for sure.
Yeah, she is.
She's great.
Outstanding.
So we are going to do this live. And if you are not able to attend live in San Pedro, in this collage, this little performance space that we're doing, we are going to stream it. So you can actually buy a ticket and stream it live on the air and listen to it then. And if you're in the San Pedro area, can't make it down, they're going to try to broadcast it live over a low-power local radio station as well. So we will actually be doing old-time radio drama on a radio station. It's going to be fun. So we'll see how that all shakes out, and we will post up where to go to get tickets, both in our Facebook chat and over on Docking Bay 94, and of course on my personal Facebook page and elsewhere. We'll make sure that you guys know exactly how to participate.
I've just posted it
in that.
on Twitch and on Facebook.
Okay, terrific. Colleen's got us covered.
But we're going to do better at posting so
Oh, yeah,
that people
completely,
can
'cause
actually
we want-
know what it is.
It's a 50-seat theater. We want lots of people to come and participate in it. And it's really different than, sitting and listening to this over the air. It's good entertainment over the air. It's a lot more fun to be there in the
person.
audience. Yeah. And we've, in our past shows, it's really funny to listen back to the recordings and hear the, gasping and the laughing and the interaction of the audience coming through over the broadcast. So should be really neat. So I hope you guys can participate in that. So it's going to be an interesting week. But we will see you guys next Thursday for a slightly different type of Docking Bay 94, since we're doing it in the boundaries of somebody else's event. And we do hope you join us for that. It should be really great. Jeff, feel better. We missed
better,
you.
Jeff.
And hopefully all is going well over there with you. I will be on the air again tomorrow for Good Morning Tatooine. We will do some music to wrap out the week at 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Eastern Time. Go to sci-fi.radio to tune in on that. And then beyond that, I guess we will see all y'all later on.
I'm Colleen Kaylee Crosby.
I am Sean Obi-Shawn Crosby. As always,
May the Force be with you.
I always have a
Night,
hard time
everybody.
finding the credits. Especially when there's just two of us. It's pretty funny. All right, guys. We will see you all